Hi team, how are we doing?
Hello, Mike. Are we
Hello,
definitely
hello.
live?
We are definitely live now. We are 100% live. It's even come up on my phone.
There you go.
Love technology. So let's go again. Here we go. So firstly, welcome everyone to the 101 show. We'll do some quick introductions and then we will crack on. So first off, introduce yourself and why do you want to be involved with this crazy project?
Hello, my name is Tess Howard. I am currently in the Great Britain and England senior women's squad. I've been in the team now for a couple of years. I play for East Grinstead and I'm also studying human geography at Durham University. And I'm 21. Why I wanted to be a part of this is simply because none of us can really stop talking about hockey, and we thought, why not make that into a show and have an excuse to talk about it on actual time. So I'm passionate about getting hockey to the masses and hopefully talking about it in an interesting, probably humorous way.
I mean, humorous is the pain. Yeah, I think having a bit of a laugh and getting what's going on with hockey out there is definitely the most important thing. So yeah, it's great to have you on board. And Mr. Gibson.
Hi, Andy Gibson. I coach at Loughborough University in the ladies program, and I'm a working coach development at the university also. I also do some coaching within the England Hockey Pathway at the DICE program and support some national age group coaching. Why did I want to be involved? Well, first of all, you had a cool idea and you asked me, which it was definitely one of those say yes and figure it out later type moments. Well, I agree with Tess. There's probably not a wide range of sort of hockey content out there where you talk about what's happening and it's discussion led rather than watching. It's not matter of fact. So you're not just watching the videos and oh, that was cool. You're actually there's some opinion, there's discussion, there's people hopefully engaging with it. So yeah, that's why I want to be part of it.
It's amazing to have you on board, mate. And yeah, I think the discussion part is massive. So guys, put some stuff in the comments and in the chat and stuff, and we will definitely engage with that as we go on. So this is about you guys more than anything else. Yeah, and finally, I'm Mike Irving. I run Sport 101, coached quite a bit, done a bit of everything, and yeah, just wanted to create something to promote the game, promote what's going on, not only just in England hockey within the Premier Leagues and stuff, but also just chat about hockey in general. So that's why we kind of wanted to set the project, and yeah, with these two incredible people with me as well, so couldn't ask for anything better. So thank you guys for saying yes. I think that's the main thing for me. So to kick us off straight off the bat, Tess, talk to us about what it was like to put on a GB shirt for the first time in ages, when you guys went out and did your little Euro tour. What was it like dealing with COVID and all the things that were going on there? You there, Tess? The joy of live technology.
Tess is froze.
Oh no. This is going so well. You back, Tess?
I think I got your question. I'm here.
Okay, cool.
The COVID situation for Pro League was interesting, to say the least. To start off, we were in masks. Oh my goodness, is it not working?
No, you're working. You're good. You're good. You're good. You are all good, Tess. Hello? You can't hear us. Okay.
We're back.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We back?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, the COVID trip was, well, I call it the COVID trip. Sorry, I meant the Pro League trip. The Pro League trip was pretty much bizarre because we were in masks for about 10 hours on a bus. We were in a bubble, which was socially distanced because it wasn't biosecure. So it meant that we were sort of distanced the whole trip, even though we were all together. It was very strange. But having said that, I mean, other than the weird stuff like wearing gloves, masks, and being distanced when you ate dinner, it was pretty much a usual trip, you know, with meetings that, to be honest, don't go on as long as you probably think, but meetings and training and then the matches and other than us wearing our masks and wearing gloves to have dinner, it was a pretty normal trip.
And how was the travel? Because I can imagine that was a bit different, because normally obviously you kind of squeeze everybody into whatever space you got and then off you go, but I can imagine this time it was a little bit different. Oh, it's not working. You still there? Can you hear us, Tess? Can you hear us at all?
I'd say that is a no, Mike, but I'm getting you
Okay,
live.
that's it.
Tess's
Okay.
camera is a little bit blurry, so why don't we get a message to Tess to leave and come back, see if that improves her link.
What we'll do in the meantime, mate, we'll move on.
We'll
crack on. The joy of live. Right, so as part of the show, we want to kind of talk about the Premier League and promote some stuff that's been going on there. So what we'll do now, Bo has prepared, it's got a video. We've all kind of decided of a goal that we've loved so far this year in the Prem. So, Gibbo, I'm going to play yours and then, have a chat on it. Why did you pick this goal as your favourite goal of the year so far?
Cool. So you're going to... Yeah, so I thought I better not pick a Loughborough goal. I'd get accused of bias in week one. So went with that Hampstead goal against Beeston. So a few reasons why I really liked it. And I sent you a little short list and we both probably agreed on that one. The hit pass and the lead. You don't see a lot of hit passes anymore. So from that inside left position to the top of the circle, really good hit pass up a defender's left foot straight to the top of the circle. There's a nice lead to forehand as well. Obviously, the finish is very good, but the two support players near the player who score take really good positions and take the defenders with them. So they don't allow that shot to be blocked with the double team. So they occupy those defenders. So the movement, timing, execution, all really good. And I guess I've got a bit of a bias that I like that inside out hit pass. I think it's a skill you don't see anymore. So yeah, pick that one as a little start for 10. So now I've described it, got a chance to play it again, and then we'll move on to yours, right?
And she's back.
Just done my goal, which you saw off air. So that's probably where we are. So what's the plan, Mike? Do goals and then go back to Pro League? Thinking on
let's do goals. Everybody loves goals. So Tess, your goal. Why have you picked this goal as your goal of the year so far?
Okay, so I've chosen a goal from the men's league, and it was part of the 10-6 goal thriller of Oxted versus Older Georgians. I mean, goals are the reason why we play hockey. Well, it's the reason why I play hockey. And I just love this goal. It's I'll tell you why I picked it. It's because it's got a drop pass. That's as simple as it's got a drop pass.
Right, let's play it and we'll go from there. And just to say a huge shout out to what Old Georgians and what Beeston and East Grinstead are doing at the moment with live feeds in the UK. I think it's so good to have that. So yeah, we wouldn't have this footage without them. So yeah, big shout out to OGs and those guys. So here we go.
Nationally, it's 15 minutes per quarter because they stop the clock for corners. We're not stopping the clock for corners, hence the quarters are 17.5 minutes each. What a pass off his wrists. Ashley Jackson, lovely little drop off, plays across the goalkeeper, walked it into the goal. That's absolute genius and composure from Jackson through midfield.
So,
I mean,
fab goal.
I think all goals need to be scored like that. Honestly, my question is why are goals not scored more like that? A counter attack from the 25, literally. There's this like phrase that's been thrown around in our team about every instance is an instance to score a goal, and literally Jackson probably thought in that moment. He's picked up the ball, he sees the pass, give it first of all to Tom Carson, who carries a bit, does a lovely little drop pass, and I don't know if anybody knows, but I love a drop pass to James, who then plays it back inside to James Carson, who then finds his brother for a 1-2 around the goalie. It's that simple. What I loved about it was that everything was kind of 2 or 3 touch, vision, awareness around of the players, awareness of the goalie. Like James Carson could have stolen it from his brother, could have done that, but he was selfless and saw the chance to score the goal. And I think that's a sort of a theme around creating goals rather than just scoring them. And that goal was really created from that first initial movement. That's why I loved it.
Yeah, it's a serious goal. And I think, we'll definitely talk about that game as well. Like, was it, I mean, 10-6 and also being 6-5 down, like, what is the deal with that? Is that good defending? Is that bad defending? Sorry. Is that great goal scoring? Like, what do you guys think?
It's good for the game. So I certainly think it's a game that we're talking about now. And it was a good watch to go through and try and pick your favourite of 16, I imagine. So that's quite a nice thing to do. I mean, I'm sure the respective benches would have said there's things in there that they'd change. I suppose it had been a stressful game because it's not the norm. But definitely think it was a lot of people text me about that game. Did you watch the live stream? Did you see that? And the fact it was a live stream game sort of amplified the scoreline. Everyone knew about it in the moment on the day, which I think was great. I'm in a WhatsApp group with the assistant coach, Ben Edwards at OGs, and people sort of checking how his blood pressure was on the day, which is quite interesting. It was a very exciting game. And I don't know why more games don't look like that. I certainly know some people say, well, we want to defend better, but I don't know. If you look at that goal that Tess has picked out, Oxted don't actually get much defensive pressure from the point that Ash picks up the ball because of the movement, the quality of the passing, the quality of the support. And more goals looking like that would be a good spectacle, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Tess, why do you think like we're not seeing more 10-6s and definitely more goals in like the men's and the women's games?
Yeah, I think we have. I think there's too much like safe play. I don't think there's enough risk taken in the game. Things like 3D skills, things like aerials into dangerous places. I think like umpires can play an important role in that and allowing creative play to happen. But I think also, especially in the women's game, I think moving the ball quickly, which is what I love to see when we play well, moving the ball from ball side to help side really quickly, and then up the line, and not dwelling on the ball, because I think goals come from relentless pressure, and at the moment I think a lot of the game is played between the 225s and not enough like higher up. Those are probably my reflections.
Yeah, and I mean, also, if you look back to like Australia teams back in the day, like they would definitely go, we just want to score more than you. And I think there's that, like you say, risk averse almost. So can we take more risks in terms of just like going for it, right? Okay, we may concede, but we're going to score more than you. And I guess it's coaches, might put myself in that, and players being okay with that risk. Like, okay, cool, we're going to concede. But I know as a coach, it's hard to move to that. I think it's easy. Oh yeah, we want attacking play. Yeah, of course we want to score more goals. And every coach will say that. But then actually, like when it gets to it on game day, like who's prepared to go? Yeah, screw it. We're just going to go for it.
Yeah, I think it's like currently you kind of like get to 2 goals. Like a 2-0 win currently is sort of considered a very good win. Whereas I'd like to be part of games that are like 4 or 5 goals. And to be honest, I would be happy. My teammates probably wouldn't like me saying this, but I would be happy conceding a couple of goals if we scored a couple of extra. Just to let the flow of the game.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with you on that. I think obviously with it being live, do you think there was a maybe, I don't know, is there some showboating that's attached to it? You know, some of the guys, it would be the first time they would have ever had their games being filmed live.
Yeah, it's not something I'd considered. And you'd have to ask the lads who've not played on TV before in that instance, and the people that haven't played in a broadcast before. But the right person to answer this is obviously Tess. Having played games that are broadcast on BT, do you feel different in those games?
You do feel different at the beginning, definitely. If it's those international games, like I remember the Olympic qualifier, which was a really big moment. The first 15 minutes, everyone was probably concerned about the cameras on you, and I remember my first game thinking like people are going to judge me watching and things like that, and it does get it in your head. But then as soon as you kind of like relax into it and you play the game, you realize that you're actually just playing a game. It doesn't matter who's watching. You know, it's that classic thing. You know, is your mum or dad watching? That's a classic thing that everybody kind of does. Or that one coach who you want to impress, or if you're in training and you can see your one coach is watching you, and then you do like an awful hit or something, and then he's not watching, or she's not watching, and then you do an incredible hit, and you're like, why didn't you see that? So I do think it plays.
Always watching, Tess. They're always watching.
Exactly.
They're filmed as well, so double whammy.
Like now, you can't hide from the camera.
No, definitely not. How far are we off being able to get to a point where all Premier League games, men's, women's, are live streamed? How far away from that are we? And what is stopping people doing it?
Well, the relative ease at which people got it going because of the spectator situation is to be commended. Beeston, like a lot of things they do, were out ahead of the curve with this. So they were doing it pre-COVID and lockdown, and it was being broadcast back into their bar on the BTV channel. And they've got a fantastic sort of product now with the BTV stuff. So they were probably the first ones at it. OG's got going pretty quick. EG are at it as well. So the relative ease at which, or not, I don't know, I'd say ease, but they did it quickly. They managed to get going pretty quickly. So it means it can be done. I guess it's vantage points, it's winning volunteers, it's having the gear. So if you have one camera, you're probably going to use it for analysis view. But so it's having a second camera, second body to do broadcast view. It's having people to commentate, to get the look and feel right. It's about doing all this stuff like you've done on this broadcast, like having 101 show in the corner. You need to get the score and the time. So there's the IT support. I guess if people have got it within their club membership, they should be utilising it. But it might come at a cost for other clubs. You might not be able to get that stuff for free. So, but certainly if you ran the clubs that are doing it, I'm sure they'd help, because I think that's what everyone would want to see.
Yeah. Because I think even when I was out in Belgium, like you'd have just it ticking over, like goals from previous games. You'd have it, you go to the bar, and that's all ticking over, and then it live stream stuff. I think Belgium are doing a great job at the moment in terms of live streaming everything. Midweek games, that's another thing which I think we could get into, maybe at another date. But you know, is there a place for it? What should that look like? Sorry, Tess, you were going to say?
No, I agree with Gibber about the resources around doing it, because EG turned it around quite quickly, and we got our last 2 games broadcasted, and so the GB players couldn't play because we were in the Pro League, and it was just so great to be able to watch your teammates. And I think what makes a live stream is the commentary. Got to be the commentary. Definitely. We had two legends, I'd say, is an appropriate word to call them, legends of East Grinstead, who came on to commentate the match, and I was actually in fits of laughter the whole. I mean, if anybody wants some
humour, go and watch, because them describing Sophie Bray is just jokes. All of her. It's basically like, oh, here she goes again. She is on fire. That sort of stuff. It's hilarious.
Did they run out of superlatives for it? Scoring lots of goals again, which is a shock to nobody, I suppose.
Yeah, she is on absolute fire.
Guys, she's scored 6. She's only scored 6. Come on. I know that's true.
How many games have you played before?
Let's be realistic here.
You reckon? I think she top goal scorer last year? Who was top goal scorer last year? Knowledge time.
Yeah, by a lot.
It was Sophie Bray.
Yeah, by a seriously long way. She's got to be up for it again this year. Although, Tess is obviously going to be pushing that and trying to get her top goal scorer in the bag.
No.
Why not?
We've made a deal that as long as East Grinstead wins the league, it doesn't matter.
That's fair. That's a good way to be. That is a good way to be. Right. I'm going to leave my goal because actually I want to stay on the Prem. So whilst we're talking about that, Women's Premier League, this is where we are at the moment. East Grinstead sitting proud on the top of the league right now. Who obviously it's looking like
Appreciate
Swansea and Birmingham are in trouble. What are we thinking? Are we thinking that this is pretty much how it's going to lie? Surbiton, obviously they've got 2 games in hand. It's a little low down for them. You'd expect them to be, a little bit higher, having a loss and a draw in their season. What do we think? Is this how we think it's going to pan out?
Surbiton are still a fantastic side. And you'd probably, given their track record, assume the 2 in hand. I actually don't know who they're against without looking, but a lot of recent evidence suggests Surbiton win the majority of their games. So you can almost, if you coach an opposition side, you'd put those points on now in your head to say, well, when they've played 6, they've won 2 more. That's how I'd think, looking at them, because they are perennially up there and perennially very, very good. And having seen them this year, they are still very, very good. So, there's we've stepped up a little bit from last year, having a year in the Prem and keeping the group together. It certainly made us a better unit. Wimbledon have come up very strong as a side, as Hampstead did the year before from that division. So there probably is just more good teams, but certainly Surbiton haven't. I wouldn't say they've regressed at all. They're still a very, very good side. And you just assume they'd win the games in hand. I don't know who they're against, to be fair, but you just assume they would.
And then just for those kind of watching, just so that we're clear, sorry, you go, Tess.
I think it's one of the most competitive leagues we've had in a long time, actually. I think the game in hand situation is really interesting because Hampstead have a chance to push their spot. Shocked that Loughborough are doing. No, I'm joking. Two of my housemates are Loughborough students, so I have to be kind about them. But I'm quite surprised at Wimbledon, to be honest. They're doing really well. I remember playing as Cambridge City against Wimbledon, and they've been pushing for the Premier League for so long, and it's really impressive to see them here now. Obviously, Surbiton, interesting because they actually have produced some very good performances. It's just, they've missed Hannah Martin and Giselle Ansley for the whole first half of the season. They lost a few others for different games, so it's going to be interesting when they come back. Definitely the second half with that top 6, I think they're going to be great games.
Yeah, they're going to be some seriously good games, and I think that green line is so important with this whole split league. I think that's going to be really, really interesting. So obviously the guys who end up above that line, for those that don't know, will play each other once to then work out who's won the league and European spots and everything else. Then the bottom 5 will then be trying to stay in the Premier League with 2 automatic relegations, and 1 will go into the playoffs. So huge amount riding on this year. So if you end up in that bottom 5, it's a real dangerous space to be. Who's your money on to A, win the league, and B, 2 teams getting relegated and the team to end up in playoffs? What are your thoughts?
Oh, you want to get me off the fence, Mike?
Yeah, get off that fence.
To win the league. So I'm predicting that Tess will back
You
herself.
can either win a friend or lose here.
Yeah, you can. I'm going to go full Claudio Ranieri on this one and say, like when he did that thing, Leicester aren't contenders, not contenders. I'm not going to talk. I'll just keep Loughborough out of all those calculations and pretend they don't exist for this bit. I thought Hampstead were very, very good when we played them, and I thought the same last year. So I still think Surbiton are, but if I had to be pushed, Hampstead. But I haven't seen EG yet this year other than film, so maybe that will change my mind. But yeah, Hampstead were very, very good, I thought.
Tess, I don't really need to ask you. It should just be one name that's coming out for winning the league. Who do you think's in trouble?
The teams that are there, I guess. But I think
I think those two in the red. Yeah.
I mean, that's a tricky one to say because
No, yeah, the two teams in the red. Just I think, unfortunately, Birmingham could push Beeston.
So, having seen little bits of Birmingham a lot last year and bits this year, they still retain a lot of really good players, and it's I suppose a symptom of going through a coach change. So Phil had been in that program a long time, fantastic coach, and these changes are never easy. But you'd have to expect they'll just improve because university sides tend to after Christmas. There is a bit of a loose trend there across conferences in the past, and I agree with Tess. Like they've got the capacity to get out of it for sure. And I actually really feel for Swansea because they're in an interesting situation in that Wales locked down before we did in England. So I think they pretty much got to train all of November. I might be wrong, but I think they pretty much got to train all of November. And then they'd have sort of been ready to go now, which is a real shame that there's not going to be games before Christmas because had they had those sessions under their belts and say there was a 2-week training window for everyone else and then we did a game before Christmas, that would have been a nice opportunity for them. But I think that's been very tough with varying different rules around lockdown and stuff either side of the border. It's been very confusing because we were due to play them on the 7th of November and they were still in lockdown then. And they came out on the 9th, but we'd just gone in at that point, I think. It was all very strange. But
yeah, and they've recruited, they've gained 3 or 4 players in this kind of second lockdown to actually then boost their chances. So I know a few of the girls who maybe were there, went over to England to play, have actually now come back. Looking at the transfer, so they've gained a couple. So yeah, they could actually end up picking some points up going into that kind of second block of the Premier League.
Yeah, good spot, Mike. I've just pulled up the player moves. There's 3, isn't there, that have gone? Or
yeah.
3 registers. Yeah, there you go.
So they could be very interesting in the second half of the year. On to the men's then. I mean, fairly standard affair with the top 4 there. What you'd be expecting. How do you think that's going to pan out? Do you think it's going to be Surbiton for the win again? Tess, what are your thoughts? Do you think Surbiton to win the league, or do you think there's going to be a late surge from, well, to be honest, anybody all the way down to EG are still in contention?
Yeah, I went to watch Surbiton play. I think their last game of the season, well, a couple of games before the last game of the season, and just the way that they move the ball, the connections they have between the players, it seems like there's a lot of good relationships, like hockey relationships on that pitch. You know, quite a lot of the GB players are in that squad, and they're so slick. But then I think that older Georgians are really going to push hard. I hope that there will be a chance for those two teams to clash again in the second half of the season, because that would be an incredible game to watch.
Gibbo?
Yeah, with Surbiton, I think that the units that's been together a long time, it's not you look at the age of the lads playing; they're all pretty much coming into their prime. From like the international boys are just getting into their late 20s and mid to late 20s. They've been around a long time. They're very solid. You can't really knock them. But ODs have grown again and looked absolutely fantastic, particularly in that when it takes some doing to score 10 goals in a game. So they've got a lot about them. They've got some quality talent. Always thought Hampstead are very good. In my time seeing them when I'd worked with Brooklands for a couple of years prior. So always impressed with Hampstead. And Wimbledon. So I couldn't see it coming from outside the top 4. If I had to nail my colours to a mast, I'd still say Surbiton.
And then I guess who out of Holcombe, Beeston, e.g. Oxted are going to join them in that top 6? Because that's a real battle there. So you've got those 4 teams battling out for 2 spots effectively.
Holcombe have those 2 games in hand, which is pretty, and the point on those are the 2, which is significant. Holcombe will get there. You just say the point advantage in the games in hand maybe is a significant thing. And wow, that is tight. A lot of this depends on when the games are played, Mike. So what's the restructure of the league going to look like? And do we have to play games with and without internationals and stuff like that? Because actually Beeston have internationals, but even without, they've got a lot of really good players as well.
Yeah.
Thinking about their squad, they've got some really good talent through the 21 EDP as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That could be, if we have to play games on those international slots, which I don't know if we do or don't yet, that could be reasonably significant. Obviously, EG don't have as many seniors as they used to, so that maybe they won't be as affected, but I wouldn't want to predict that, to be fair. It'd be very tight. If I had to, I'd go with Beeston as a slight northern bias.
Because obviously Nottingham is in the north, so
we'll claim it. We'll claim it. It's definitely not in the south.
It's definitely not in the south.
Yeah.
And is this going to be the year that Brooklands finally get relegated out of the league? I think
I'm biased, but no.
No. Okay.
They're staying in. Yeah. So there is a loose rationale for it. Obviously, they've been in this situation before, and they've managed to pick up wins in situations where you wouldn't typically say. And obviously, the games where they play, the teams around them are very important. But if you look back through Brooklands' last few seasons, as long as they've actually been in the Premier League, they've managed to get results against sides that are right at the top of the league. So they've got results at Beeston, the result against Surbiton a couple of years ago, which no one expects them to do, to beat EG in the last game at home last year. Yeah, so they've got results against sides that are tried and tested in the Premier League. And if you do well, if you get the right results and performances against those teams down the bottom, which isn't a given because they're strong, the Premier League sides, there's nothing to say that they're not strong enough to beat them. But they have the capacity to beat teams right up the table, which I think they still retain that ability. So, yeah, I'll continue to back them.
So go on then. So Tess, who do you think is going to get relegated out? Who are going to be the 2 and who's going to be the 1 to end up in playoffs in the men's league? Oh, she's frozen again.
Is Tess going to
still there?
Nope, she's gone. It's gone really well. So, what we will do now. Looking strong in the middle.
Tess looks very inquisitive. The glasses are on.
And now can you hear me, mate?
Loud and clear, yeah.
No.
Got you loud and clear, Mike, if you can hear me.
I can't hear anything. This is completely crashed.
I can hear you, Mike, if you're struggling with me.
Okay. Can you hear anything, Tess?